Okay, we're starting this Public Finance Committee meeting for Thursday, February 8th. Any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest? Okay, Deb is going to take care of the election of Finance Committee Chair. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Since there are two members who have indicated interest in becoming Finance Committee Chair, we are conducting an election this morning, so I will now call for nominations. Member Caslin.
Here, Mike, please. I'd like to nominate the fine gentleman beside me, Terry.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the nomination?
I'll second.
Member Gale. Member Bonham, do you agree to let your name stand?
I do.
Wonderful. Is there any further nominations? Member Gansell.
Yes, and thank you. I would nominate Board Member Vaughn Stewart.
Is there a seconder for the nomination? Seeing none, the nomination is lost. Are there any further nominations? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the nominations? Member Gansell, seconder. Member Caslin. All those in favor of closing nominations? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Nominations are now closed. Could I now have a motion to acclaim Member Bonham as Chair of the Finance Committee? Member Gale, seconded by Member Caslin. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So, Terry, you're the chair of this meeting now, so thank you.
Thank you, Chair Gale. Oh, my God. I'd like to call a meeting to order. First order of business, minutes of the Finance Committee meeting, or, excuse me, are there any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Minutes of the previous meeting of the Finance Committee held on December the 7th, 2017. Is there a mover and a seconder? Member Gale, Member Caslin, or Member Gansell, excuse me. Any comments or questions? Motion to receive. Member Gale? No, we've already done the motion. Motion to all in favor? Great, thank you. Second order of business, Niagara Regional Police Service audited financial statements for 2017. Is there a motion to receive? Member Gansell, second by Member Caslin. Discussion? In the absence of any discussion, motion to approve. Member Gale? All those in favor. Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any further new business? Finance? Oh, yes, false alarms. Over to the service for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of the status of the false alarm program, we are currently in the throes of gathering information with respect to the programs that are being implemented in London and Hamilton. And we're also of the belief that Toronto are also in the throes of adopting a program that is in keeping with how the London Police Service is dealing with their response to alarms. What we anticipate coming back with is two options, both of which include responding to verified alarms after they've been through a filter, and then presenting you with the option or options with respect to any fees to be charged to businesses above and or beyond that.
How soon will that report be coming back, do you feel?
I think our target is March 22nd, if that's the next date. March 8th.
Could I ask what the thrust of the London initiative is? Is it to address hopefully the concern that's been brought forward by some members of this committee, and that we should be applying a charge to thwart nuisance and not in the business of arbitrarily assessing a charge on each and every call should it be determined that there's no need for the alarm to have been put in. Is that the thrust of the London initiative, or are we cross purposes here? Thanks.
No, I think we're on the same page in terms of responding to verified alarms. So we will not be responding to alarms that have not been verified and or are considered a nuisance.
Member Gale?
Yeah, I just want to expand on that, and we're on the same page on that, and I appreciate that, because I know that we're going to have business coming at us saying we spend thousands of dollars on alarms and that, and we're more or less paying for our security. So, and I know that people can go beside a lot of these businesses and just touch the glass and the alarms go off. But that's good for us because we're not going to so many calls. We are, and that's where I wanted you to come. We're in public here, but I wanted you to comment on the amount of break-ins we're having, because I'm not seeing as many as it was years and years ago when I was on. Am I correct in saying that? Because I think the alarms that these businesses and schools and whatever have are so good now that it's helped us, but we're asking for more on them, and I can just see the businesses coming at us. So if you can expand on my comment about break-ins, are there as many as there used to be? And you said you're on the same page as understanding it.
Do you want me to go? I think it's safe to say that all our crime trends are trending in a favorable direction. In other words, they are dropping. I can also say that with the amendments that have been implemented over the last couple of years, the number of false alarms are also reducing, but our goal is to reduce that to a more manageable level than it currently exists.
Okay, thank you, Chair. He said everything I wanted to hear at the start, so let's see what they come back with. So thank you.
Member Genzo?
Thank you, and through you, Chair, just a question. You've used this term verified alarms. Can you explain what the definition of that is?
Yes, I might miss one of them, but verified by multiple alarms going off in a location, verified by the presence of a criminal act, i.e. confirm, break, and enter. So what it would consist of is the alarm company gets the call. They then verify whether or not it's founded or unfounded. And if it's founded, they then contact us and we respond.
So if I
There are 4 filters, and I've referenced 2 of them.
So as an example, a business, for example, has an alarm system in here. It's 2 in the morning, goes off. The alarm company gets it. They phone. I'm assuming they're going to have a list of people to call out to. They call out to the owner at 2 in the morning. He says, well, there's no one in my business. I shut it at 6 o'clock. And they have a door break or some sort of an intrusion of some kind. That would be a verified alarm. The owner is not there. The time is outside the normal business hours. So that would that be a verified alarm of which we would respond?
Not necessarily.
Why not?
What we would want is we would want the alarm company to verify that there's been either, or if there are multiple alarms coming from the same location, then we would respond. But the fact that the alarm is simply going off doesn't necessarily require our attendance or wouldn't demand our attendance.
But a lot of alarms that would come in, for example, would say, let's say a glass break alarm. I see that from the decals that they have an acoustical type of alarm system. So if they have a glass break alarm at a business, just as an assumption, which is always a bad move to make, but with an assumption that somebody broke the glass and stepped into the business, the alarm company, I'm going to assume, can determine that it came from a door sensor or a sonic sensor that glass is broken. Mm-hmm. So if they've got a glass broken situation at 2 in the morning, they phone the owner of a list of key holders, whatever the terminology is there. He says the place was shut at 6 o'clock. There's nobody in there. I'm the only one who has a key to the place. I have no staff that would be there or anything else. To me, that constitutes a verified situation.
Yeah, I think when you include a glass break in the scenario, you've just elevated it beyond simply an alarm going off. But Richard is the one doing the research, and he has the 4 filters. He has information with respect.
The only thing I just caution is I would hate to get to a situation where we have an intruder that is physically into a building, is, you know, grabbing the cash box that shouldn't have been left in there, but he knows there's something, or taking, you know, dental tools as an example, which, you know, has some value, and leaves. And we're still sort of figuring out, is it verified or not, where we could have apprehended somebody. That's my only concern. I mean, that could also occur in a homeowner situation.
Yeah, your concerns are legitimate.
And I hope as part of your analyses or how you're going to develop this, you'll take the concerns of the board as part of your recommendations?
Yes, we will bring it back to the board with our recommendations for a final decision or direction with respect to the policy you would like to see us implement.
I just want to make sure that in a few years, or hopefully it's never happened, that we've had a major break-in because a business didn't want to call. See, the alarm companies tend to call the businesses and say, we have alarm at your business, so what do you wish us to do? And a lot of people will probably say, don't send anybody, you know, I'll go down there and take a check. And I hope that, be it even personal injury from something like that, the guy shows up down there and somebody hurts him, or something something doesn't happen because they don't want to pay the whatever the dollar amount we charge them for false alarms. I hope that's considered, because I know I think of that when alarms happen, and I used to think of that at our businesses, that it's later in the morning, the odds are it might be somebody there a bit earlier. Let's forget about the police and that. So.
One of the yes, and I think your points that you raise are extremely valid. One of the factors that we're considering is, in the last 5 years, the Niagara Regional Police responding to alarms has resulted in 3 people arrested in crimes in progress in 5 years. So.
Just one further comment to add. While the comments about businesses and having false alarms is well taken, there's also people out there in private residences that have these systems installed that I think we should be very cognizant of the fact that unless they have an oversensitive alarm system and we're repeatedly making visitations for what turns out to be an assessed no purpose, that we're not continuing to penalize people on the one-off. So hopefully London's looking at that as well, and coming back with some reasoned criteria that would define for anybody able to understand that there's a frequency component to going to be a frequency component to a charge going forward. Thank you.
Yes, I can confirm that. And the scenario that we've discussed is a cottage up in the Fort Erie area where it's not monitored, but they have an alarm, and that would be an outlier that we would respond to.
Any further comments or questions? We're going to have a follow-up report in the near term. Thank you very much. Mover for the presentation? Yes. Member Caslin? Second by Member Gale. All in favor? Any new business for the Finance Committee? That concludes the Finance Committee public agenda. Thank you.
So our next, because we're half an hour before the 10:30 confidential for, okay, so, we'll, okay, so what do you want to do next, Deb? Do you want to do labor?
Well, we're still doing live stream, so that's why I'm just saying our next public meeting will be at 11:30, so maybe we just dismiss everybody and we're moving to closed session.
Do you want to go into closed session now?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay. So we're going to go in closed session now. Our next public meeting will be at 11:30. You guys in the back, you can hear me? Okay. Thank you.